We are live on Original FC back in the car. And today's topic is Marcus Rashford, man. The Marcus Rashford problem, the Marcus Rashford dilemma. I think Rashford is he's at a crossroads in his career. He's at I don't know if I want to say a breaking point, but it kind of feels like that, right? Rashford I believe he's 26 or he's 27. And if he is 26, pretty sure he's turning 27 in a couple of months. So this is meant to be the peak of his career, right? Well, I mean, that's what the old adage was. But in modern football now, especially for attackers, I think your peaks are a bit lower now. I think your peak, especially when you've been somebody that's been in the starting lineup since the age of 18, I think you really start to peak around 24, right? Regardless, Marcus Rashford is at a crossroads, right? He's coming off the back of a horrible season last year, but quite catastrophic, in fact. I don't know how many goals he had. It must have been like 5 or 6 goals, 7 goals max. Poor season, especially coming off a season where you had 30 goals in all competitions the year prior. But that's essentially been the story of Marcus Rashford's career. That's essentially been the story of Marcus Rashford's Manchester United career. He will have a good year and then a poor year, followed by a decent year, then another good year, then a poor year. Just so inconsistent, right? For somebody as hyped as he is, and for somebody that people believe he is as great as he is, he averages out to 8 Premier League goals a season. That's not good enough. That's not good enough for somebody who's been labelled as a world-class winger at times. To be producing on average 8 Premier League goals a season is not good enough. It's not good enough. But my issues with Rashford lie past the goals. For me, the biggest issue I've always had with Rashford is he's the same player at 27 that he was at 20, at 19. He's the same player. Upstairs, he hasn't developed upstairs. And I don't, like, that sounds, it comes off rude, but bro, his IQ hasn't developed. His decision-making was always an issue. His decision-making has always been a criticism of mine, and is still a criticism today. And what's worrying now is when you get to the age of 27, you are who you are. If you haven't ironed out any of the little kinks, ironed out any of the things that were holding you back, for example, your decision-making, right? For example, your IQ, your reading of the game. If you haven't developed on that and worked on that and improved on that, at 27, how are you going to be able to do that? At 27, you're stuck in your ways. I'm sorry to tell you, if you're doing what you're doing at 20, as a football player, by the way, I'm not talking about as a person, I'm talking about as a football player. If Marcus Rashford is still doing the same boneheaded things he used to do when he was 20, at 27 on a football pitch, I'm sorry, that's just who he is. Now it's a habit. That's going to be hard to iron out. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. And yes, Marcus Rashford isn't old, but he's been in the game. He's been a Manchester United starter for 10 years now. He's a veteran. He's a big boy. He's a top boy. This is who he is now. And that's what scares me the most. This is who he is now. And what scares me even more is I believe we've probably seen the best of Marcus Rashford. Now, here's to hoping he has a good season this season, right? But that Fulham game, if that Fulham game was anything to go off, I know first game of the season and whatnot, but it's not just about the first game of the season. It's a carryover from last season, you know? And it's a carry on from seasons where he's just taking seasons off. And honestly, I don't believe Marcus Rashford now is in a position where he can afford to have another bad season. I think even the most diehard Carrington lovers within the United fan base are even looking at Rashford and thinking, "Rah, you're Manc born and bred, you're one of us, but mate, how many more excuses can we give you?" Because listen, Marcus Rashford has had ample opportunity. He is never taken out of the lineup. He is given every chance to prove himself. He starts every game, right? And even when he's had numerous poor performances, we've always given him excuses. We've always given him excuses, right? And Rashford's decline to me is not all down to Rashford. There are other variables at play here, you know? The fact that, you know, during his formative years, him and Martial were victims of always ever-changing managers, a bad culture within the dressing room, you know, just an unstable environment. Him and Martial casualties of that. Who knows the players they could have been if, for example, something like LVG had stayed a couple more years. Who knows? But unfortunately, that's not how it's panned out. And ultimately, Martial didn't kick on, right? And that hurts me to say because, bro, I loved Martial as a player, right? But he didn't kick on. The injuries caught up to him. He's gone. He's out the club. Marcus Rashford now is at a point where there's no more excuses for you. It's either put up or shut up. And if you don't have a good season this season, if you don't put up the performances, it's not just about the goals and assists, but obviously the goals and assists matter. You need to put up the production and you need to put up the performances to match. There are no more excuses. Because if I'm Manchester United, I'm looking at you, Marcus Rashford, you're on 300k a week. And constantly, time and time again, we're looking at you thinking, you've been one of the worst players on the pitch, and you're at no risk of being dropped. That cannot continue. That cannot continue. And with the new ownership at hand in Ineos, they seem like they're not playing about. They seem like, listen, we're out here trying to cut costs. We sold Varane because he was on high wages. We tried to get rid of Casemiro. It didn't happen. Maguire's going to go next season. We're getting rid of all you guys on big contracts, bro. We're cutting you out. And if I'm Marcus Rashford, I'm not confident that if I have another poor season, I'm going to continue being a United player. I would cut my losses on Marcus Rashford if he performs poorly this season. I really would. Because you have to look at it. You're on 300k a week, performing like a scrub. And not only that, you look like you've lost love for the game. Maybe you've lost love for Manchester United. Why would I want to keep somebody like that around? Especially if Marcus Rashford is still a hot enough name where you can still make some money off of him. Pure profit at that because he's an academy graduate. You didn't pay any money for him, so that's pure profit. Listen, another poor season for Marcus Rashford, you have to take that into consideration. You really do. You really do. Another thing that's stuck out to me about Rashford is I think he's lost that little yard of pace. I think physically he's not the athlete he used to be, which really separated him. That's really what made his game, because explosiveness, the speed, the power, those were the things he excelled in, if we're being truthful. Technically, he's good, but he's never been a world beater technically to me. But he was good enough. And when you combine that with the physicality, the pure athleticism that he had, it made him a problem. It did make him a problem. But I think that athleticism, I think that power was waning. I'm seeing him struggle to beat his fullbacks one-on-one. I'm struggling to see him face up his defender and blow by him. I'm seeing guys catch up to him. And I think that's frustrating Rashford. I think it hurts Rashford. I think it frustrates Rashford that he's starting to realise that he may not be able to do the things that he used to do. And he's trying to do them, but it doesn't come off with the same sort of regularities as before. To go back to his decision-making and his IQ, to go back to that point, right? He still runs into traffic like he's an 18, 19-year-old kid. Like, sometimes you just got to think. If you've lost the extra yard of pace, okay, well, you're at an age now where you should know the game by now. You should have a better understanding of the game and a better understanding of how to play smarter. You play different angles. Pop it off. Find a little bit of space. Make that run. You don't have to be an absolute track star every single time and just run to 5 defenders. No, that's stupid football. That's little man football. That's little boy football. You've got to be smarter now. For example, somebody like Mo Salah, right? Mo Salah, in the last couple of seasons, you can see his athleticism, his that pace and power he used to have. It's not there like it used to be. But Mo Salah's understood that, and he's adapted his game. He's become a lot more smarter. He will hang on the last shoulder, or he'll find a little pocket of space, right, that he can exploit. Because all he needs is just that half a yard of space he can burst into. It's not about trying to prove you're the athlete you once were. It's about being smarter, finding better angles, making the game easier for yourself. And I think Marcus Rashford still hasn't understood that. He still plays with the mentality of a 19-year-old kid. He really does. He still plays with the mentality of a 19, 20-year-old kid. There is a serious Marcus Rashford problem, and if he doesn't start getting goals soon, because we know how Rashford is, he's a confidence player. If he doesn't start the season well, we've got Brighton coming up this weekend. If he doesn't listen, if he goes 2, 3, 4, 5 Premier League games without a goal, Rashford's going to start getting a bit anxious. We're going to start getting a bit anxious because the performances have been atrocious. It's a big year for Marcus Rashford, man. It's a massive year for Marcus Rashford. I want him to do well. I want to see the kid win. I do. I want to see him perform this season because I think there's a lot of optimism for United this season. I think with the signings we've made, you know, the new football structure, the new ownership. Listen, man, there's a lot of things to look forward to. And you'd like Marcus Rashford to be a part of that. But it's all up to him. It's all up to him whether he decides to perform this season. Whether he can show us he's still Marcus Rashford. With that being said, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Share it everywhere. Keep on showing support. Unoriginal FC, over and out.